What can we do with the world's most powerful computer? If we look at medicine, for instance, in order to predict how drugs will interact, we have to sift through a seemingly infinite number of possible scenarios. To do this, we might take one computer that by itself is fast enough to model them all at unbelievable speeds, or we might take many computers that together can do this task. Now, predicting the weather isn't any different. In weather modeling, you have physical interactions that are so complex that even one of these iterations might take days. The list of these computational problems is growing. And solving them may not only help us better understand nature, but they could help us drastically improve the quality of life and perhaps even avert major crises. If you think about the impact a more accurate and timely early warning system would have on hurricane or tornado affected areas, it instantly becomes clear why NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, spends hundreds of millions of dollars on building and maintaining these vital supercomputer systems. But what if I told you that the medical problem was being solved at relatively no cost? This is because of a concept known as distributed computing. Since 2000, medical researchers have been using a project known as Folding at Home to solve these problems. These distributed computers, they're not just a computer in nature, in and of themselves, but they are instead a conglomeration of many different computers working together to provide the kind of power that we need to solve these problems. Each computer is given a small portion of the greater puzzle, and it continues working on that task until the problem is solved. You're probably picturing a room, maybe something like this size, with a bunch of desktop PCs crammed floor to ceiling, wall to wall, with whirring fans and blinking lights, beeping, and cables everywhere. But that's not it at all. Picture your home office, for instance, or maybe the space that you've cleared off on your coffee table for your laptop. That's where the distributed computer is housed. By utilizing spare resources on personal computers all across the globe, these distributed computers are the real green machine. Scattered across the vast expanse of cyberspace exists a handful of distributed computing projects, like protein folding. But we haven't quite taken them all the way yet. These projects are limited in scope, and none of them have any more than 2 million contributors. So this is the part where I get to make you feel guilty about shirking your social responsibility. I might, to drive the point home, bring up how my grandmother has Alzheimer's, and how wonderful it would be if she could recognize me when I come to visit her at the nursing home. But I think instead, how about I propose that we meet halfway? I think it's time that we build a marketplace where people like you and me can sell our spare computing resources. Just like our own employment, our computers can be used to perform tasks in exchange for payment. Would this convince you to participate? The most powerful single computer is China's Milky Way 2. It takes up the space of an entire warehouse. It consumes as much power as a small city. And the price tag on this computer is $1.2 billion. It has as much power as 500,000 modern desktop computers. But if you think about it, we have, between us, more than 500,000 desktop computers, don't we? And how many of the 16 billion internet-connected devices are computers that we could utilize for this purpose? Might we be able to make a distributed computer that's 10 times as powerful as Milky Way? What about 100? Or even 1,000 times as powerful as the most powerful supercomputer in the world? Not only that, but every time that they want to upgrade the hardware on Milky Way, they have to spend millions of dollars. They'll be out of commission for weeks. But for us, for our distributed computer, we would upgrade every time somebody buys a new machine. We would grow naturally, and would never spend a dime more on maintenance than we already would have. Now, I want to fill you in on a little secret. Folding at home, the project that I mentioned before, it's already more powerful than Milky Way. Just by a little. But at the ripe old age of 15 years, and that's a long time for a computer, it spent the past 8 years consecutively as the world's most powerful system. Now here in Chicago, we have several high-powered systems. The research that we do here is thriving, and we enjoy the luxury of being a technology hub. But not many people are quite as fortunate. And as a result, many students that have great potential never get the exposure that they need. And many projects that could change the world never make it off of paper. But if a system like this were implemented, not only could we add to the processing power that they use for these high-end research projects, but anyone, from a young student with a penchant for solving puzzles to a brand new startup with limited funding, would enjoy the same level of access that we here at high-tech research institutions enjoy. Now, moving beyond the traditional constraints of computing, it's all about fusion. It's all about bringing together elements from all across the globe to create something elegant and effortless. Taking the old and the waste, the things we don't want at the moment, and the things that we don't need, and combining them to solve some of the greatest problems that we'll ever face. Until this technology was introduced, it was practically impossible for people like you or me to get involved in these kind of large-scale projects. But now, something as small as a smartphone could be a critical piece to solving these puzzles. I think we can do this. We have our work cut out for us, but if we work together and we pool our resources, we can not only solve the problems that we're facing today, but we can build a computer that truly transcends. Just think about this. The next time you wonder why we haven't found the cure, it's very possible that the solution is quite literally in your hands. Thank you.